Bitcoin loves cheese, or cheese loves Bitcoin, as Wisconsin, the state, and their pension fund have exposure to Bitcoin over $100 million. We're going to discuss that, and some other top hedge funds and pensions and money managers are showing exposure to Bitcoin. Is this going to continue? Also, PPI inflation numbers came out today. Markets are bleeding, but not GameStop. We're going to talk about GameStop, what is going on, what happened in 2021, and how that might have been the kickstart to the massive bull market for altcoins we saw. And what is one project, one meme coin we can try to front run now that can have profits spilt over from GME traders into this meme coin? We're going to discuss that. Also, we got Magic Internet Money joining us to break down the Bitcoin chart, what is going on in the markets. We have some altcoin news. Brad Garlinghouse and the CEO of Tether, Paulo Ardoño, they are going at each other. And then Ripple has a secret that doesn't want the courts to let out to the public. What secret is that, and why could it potentially harm Ripple, the company, and maybe the XRP token? We're going to discuss that and much, much more on today's episode of Sin City Crypto. Let's go.
It's your boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, we're the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel. We take old, boring, and, well, stale information and repackage that whole thing up in a fun, sexy way. A lot of big news today. I am so excited. You know, I actually attended a high school in Wisconsin for about 7 months.
Wow.
Yes.
So you're now an expert?
I am an expert. Also,
I went to high school in Wisconsin, so now I can talk about legislation in Wisconsin.
It's
Jimmy knows
it's
something.
what I called home for some point, some part of my life. You know? It's cold there. Did you know that?
So what's the point of you saying that?
Because Wisconsin has, well, pulled the trigger. That's why we got this cheese Bitcoin logo here.
The Bitcoin cheese, the big cheese.
Yeah. You of all people, man, you're a Packers fan, right? Green Bay Packers?
Yeah. I was more of an Aaron Rodgers fan. I haven't had the time to watch football in 3 years.
Good for you.
I wonder why. Let's talk about our main topic today, of course, is Bitcoin, Wisconsin, right? So this is from Bitcoin Archive. The State of Wisconsin Investment Board just disclosed a $162 million Bitcoin ETF position in their SEC filings. Close to $100 million of it is in BlackRock's product and $63 million in Grayscale's product. State adoption, then nation adoption. This kind of goes back to your thing as far as why people would still have their funds in Grayscale. Could Robin's thesis be true? Who knows? And then I want to share this from Eric Balkunas, the senior ETF analyst at Bloomberg. He quote tweeted this and said, "Wow, a state pension bought IBIT in the first quarter. Normally, you don't get these big fish institutions in the 13Fs for a year or so when the ETF gets more liquidity. But as we've seen, these are no ordinary launches. Good sign, expect more as institutions tend to move in herds." Also, famed investor and I don't know if he was a hedge fund manager, but the dude was pretty well known for beating the stock market. I think his average returns was 40 to 50% over a 10-year period. Jim Simmons, he did recently pass away. But according to their latest 13F filing, his company Renaissance Tech, which was founded by Mr. Simmons, is long Bitcoin. They hold various Bitcoin ETFs, including ARK, Bitwise, and Grayscale, Bitcoin miners like Bitfarm and Bitdeer, and the Bitcoin ATM company Bitcoin Depot. We'll stop there before we get into the ETF flows. I mean, for the people that are watching, Robin, and they say, well, how come price hasn't moved? What do you say?
It has moved.
Down.
Okay. No. All right. Here's the thing. So when did the ETFs go live? January. On the 1 year chart here, in January, we were at 46,000. So we've had roughly, give or take, a 50% move up on Bitcoin in 4 months. If you were to take another 50% move from where we're at now, let's just say that more companies get exposure, states, pension funds, banks, if they start getting exposure to Bitcoin, they start allocating and buying Bitcoin through the ETFs like we're seeing already. I would expect another 50%, right? I mean, going into the bull market post having the supply shock, I think if you were to look at another 3 month time window here, when the next quarterly reports come out, I think that we will see another 50% move, which puts us right at about $100,000. And so for me, I think this is extremely bullish. I don't think that this is a pullback, or I don't think the price is not indicative of what the market is.
So then by your time frame, right, in comparison, you're saying between July and August of this year, we should see another 50% move? Because Q1
July is
filings,
2 months from now.
because Q1 filings, right? Q1 ends in March, and we're in May.
So 3 months from now, so the end of August, you'd get the next quarterly reports. They don't come out right at that point. So I would say September. I would expect the next filings to come out, have a lot of other giant companies and also more states and more pension funds having exposure to, or having a position on Bitcoin through these ETFs. And I think that the price, also, not to mention, you just have uh, the natural flow of the markets, right? And so in the cycle, the Bitcoin cycle, where it seems like we're right on track, actually a little early on the price movement, and that's probably because of the ETF. But post having supply shock, also election year, $100,000 Bitcoin, I think by September is is expected, right?
All I know is what we've been expecting as a whole community, right? As just not just when I say us, I mean everyone. No one expected the mass amount of outflows for Grayscale, especially to last this long. Who knows? I think the inflation is going back up. We're going to talk about that. PPI numbers came out, uh, but I'm telling you, man, this second wind of this GameStop AMC meme stock rally. Last time this happened, that kicked off the bull market for crypto. Could we see the same
That's,
potentially?
that's that's what I was saying. Yeah, that's what I was saying yesterday. Is yesterday was we had a scenario where uh yeah, yesterday I was saying the GameStop thing kicked off the whole damn thing, right? I mean, it's obvious, bro. It was the first step, and here we are, history again, right? Yesterday we were here discussing. I said, look, GameStop rallied. All the people that had made money on GameStop AMC, what were they talking about the next few weeks after that?
Do you think that guy
Doge.
roaring kitty is Satoshi?
No. Okay. But yeah, no, I agree. There, the parallels here from last bull market cycle seem to be playing out again. And what do you think's next? DeFi comes back.
NFTs, baby.
DeFi and NFT. I'm just saying,
No.
man. I'm looking at history. We had the GameStop thing, and then it was literally like 3 weeks later. That's when Doge started just moonshotting
Everything.
Yeah, it was a lot going on, man. It's intense, man. I think we're gonna sniff that. I don't think it's gonna the printing environment's different though. That's the one big difference here, is that there was a lot more money. The interest rates were cut down to zero. So I don't think that we'll see that same percentage move. I don't think that, hey, GameStop went up 1,000%, the stock, everyone's going crazy. We're gonna see the same out of crypto. I don't think it's gonna be to that extreme.
Robin,
But
you mentioned printing money, right?
Mhm.
How long ago was the Great Pyramid of Giza built? Around 2600 BC. roughly 4,700, 4,620 years ago, right? Look at this. If your salary was $500,000 every single day, every weekday, holiday, weekend since that Great Pyramid was built, and you spent absolutely none of it, you'd still have less money today than the US government borrowed in March to operate through September of this year. And so that's, when you think about it like that, that's pretty insane, man. 500 grand a day for 4,600 years. Government's got a spending problem, and in the long term it hurts us, but in the short term we can use it, make money, and then move that money we made into harder assets and commodities like Bitcoin, gold, and silver. That way, when eventually this house of cards falls, we're well positioned to kind of make some life-changing money. Before we bring Magic on, I do want to go over the Bitcoin ETF flows from yesterday. This is from Farside. We saw 0 from BlackRock, 38.6 million from Fidelity, 20.3 million from ARK, and a goose egg from Grayscale. Shout out to Grayscale. Good job. So bring our total net flow to a positive $66 million. I do want to talk about this headline, but I want to do it with Magic on. So let's go ahead and bring Magic on the show. Magic, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Long time no see.
I know, brother. How you been, man? We know you've been busy doing a lot of cool things, man. We're excited to have you back. Thank you for joining us. Real quick, just like charts aside, what are your thoughts on what's happening with GME? You remember in 2021? If you don't, let me refresh your memory here. That kind of kicked off the altcoin bull market, right? So what are your thoughts on what's happening now? And is this bullish or bearish, do you think, for crypto?
I don't think I'm probably not going to use it as a correlator for altcoins, but it's kind of like the meme coin, I guess, for traditional markets, that those sectors tend to pump and kind of lead off as money rotates into, I guess, in our case, we call them mid caps or small caps. So maybe that's taking place. For me, I'm just keeping an eye on like Bitcoin dominance and then also just trading the charts of altcoins. So I don't correlation trade a lot. It's not really something I get into. There are people that do it successfully, though. There's a few tools even on TradingView that can help a person do that with like Bitcoin and altcoins. I think Max showed that on your show a couple weeks ago, even. So yeah, I mean, I think it's great if investors are making money. I hope they take profits, because last time a lot of people didn't, and I think they got washed out. And you know how it is, rinse and repeat, pump and dump.
Yeah, the round trip in your old bags. I want to share this headline here, Magic, and then I'll ask you to jump into a Bitcoin chart. So this is from Mike Novogratz. He says Bitcoin may stay in a consolidation phase until the U.S. election. Novogratz said during a Tuesday earnings call that following the approval of the spot ETFs and last month's block reward halving, he believes Bitcoin could keep trading between $55,000 and $75,000 in the near term. He said, quote, "I think that's probably where we are, certainly for this quarter and maybe next, until either the Fed starts cutting rates because the economy finally slows or we get through the election." Are you seeing anything on the chart that kind of supports what Mr. Novogratz here is saying?
Yeah. Let me hop on here. So last halving, we actually had a really big consolidation. If you recall, we kind of talked about that when we started forming this at the halving date. So it does kind of line up. You know, your last halving was what, was it like the
May
11th
of 2020.
16th of May? Yeah, May of 2020. I think it was like the 11th. I think this is where you had your halving somewhere in this region. But I mean, this consolidation is pretty long. And we did talk about this likely being range bound after a massive move up. And this consolidation lasted 83 plus days. You know, if you went out to when it really broke out, it's 88 days. So a full quarter of price. If you were to look at what we're doing now, it's very, very similar. We've hit the halving date. And since we've come up here, you've got a pretty big consolidation. So eventually this will resolve. I think that we are getting there potentially now. If price stays stagnant and doesn't, let's say, break down or flush from this region, it actually starts to look more bullish. And I know this is a messy chart. We'll go to a cleaner one. So if we do remain range bound, realistically, 64,540 was actually a level I was kind of shilling about a month ago to you guys on a weekly, I call them breaker levels or swing failure pattern levels that I just convert into support and resistance. But you had a nice change of behavior where you finally closed below it. It's resistance, no closures above. Now you're testing that monthly support of the previous month low and like the current month open, right? You could probably bring that down to here and that'd be accurate. So you really don't want to give this area up if you're seeing that. However, if price holds out here till the end of May without making that move down into these, single prints specifically, right? So these are single prints and you can see the candles are very large. And it's just an inefficiency in price, meaning that there really were only buyers here. There's no one to really wash out of this, so it's empty price action. You'll probably fill it, meaning that we'll be down in like the low 50s more than likely. So if it doesn't do that and it stays range bound here, what you can notice about this range is even if you were biased for the downside, you can't ignore, you have all this empty space right here. Okay, so there's really nothing there keeping you from not running all the way back up here into like the 71K range, maybe even a new all-time high at that time. That's only a scenario that if you start clearing 64,540 and not breaking below this monthly support that we've set in, this area is fairly key. Now, the level he mentioned at 55K, it's a March pivot. I don't really know that I consider it naked anymore because this is all but tapped it. Even though it's not a formal touch of the exact dollar level, Magic, it was a test into the region.
Magic, sorry to cut you off. Can you explain maybe to the viewer who doesn't understand what you mean by naked on the chart?
Yeah, so this was a monthly pivot from March. And all that is if you took the high, low, and the close of a session, so February's price action, and then you divided it by 3 to get the average, you would have a horizontal average. So think of it like a moving average, only it's not dynamic. It's already set in stone. It's not going to change. Now, if you're a mean reversion trader, you can start calculating how often does Bitcoin revert back to this level before the month ends, right? So this is your March pivot. And so it's naked because it was never touched in the month of March. So it becomes kind of a target later because they often end up being good bounce zones, which you can see right here. But it was also the top of what is called a single print, meaning that if you find acceptance into this, think of it like a gap or a low volume area, like a void. It is going to fill fairly quickly. These are just going to come through. Like we just had one yesterday on a much lower time frame that, is how you found your entry on the short here for yesterday. So if you find your way into this, then yeah, you're probably going to fill it. And to me, I wouldn't really be looking anywhere inside this price action to just be blindly buying. I would probably go to the monthly chart and say, where's my last local high? And it's that January high. So that's all the way at 49K, which is the ETF high. So to me, that becomes kind of the area I look to. But if for some reason you don't make that move and price just stays range bound, like he's indicating, that's, it starts to favor bulls because you do have all this empty space. People are going to be building up short positions here at the lows, and they can become fuel for a larger squeeze up. That's how short squeezes get started, is when you get all this open interest on one side, especially built up towards the low of a range or the top of the range if it's a long squeeze. Now, interestingly enough, you've seen this formation before all the way back over here, and this was the range that never ended for many in 2021, and you had a very similar setup. And I actually keep this range because I track all the ranges. We were just talking about it not that long ago. So we'll cover one more time. And right here. And so this was your range from 2021, just from a market structure basis. And you can see that it started here and ends right here, right? Well, what you'll notice is the second half of this really spent a lot of time at the low of the range, building up people trying to short the breakdown to, at the time, everybody was looking for a back test of the all-time high, about 20K. It just never came. You had your like levels you could have marked and all that. But in reality, this was the low that was established. It was swung fail here in the middle of the summer, and then it became support. So just like that swing failure pattern level I showed you earlier at 64,540, same thing at 29,800. Once you reclaimed the range and started putting these people underwater that were aggressively trying to move an auction price lower, they became fuel for moves like this, where the range fills very quickly and there's nothing up here as well. So not only do you have the OI for a short squeeze at that time, you also have a void here to fill in. There's really no orders here to keep you from just rotating in full and maybe continuing at that time. So if a person wanted to continue to range here, or Bitcoin wanted to continue to range, I shouldn't say a person, but if Bitcoin did, it starts to really kind of shape up for what's the best trade on the table. And the best trade is, well, we have support. Sellers are doing a very poor job of breaking support in that instance. I would like to see a squeeze higher. That's the better risk to reward. Now, you can make this plan and maybe it doesn't come to fruition. So for now, it's kind of a waiting game. you can continue to long this support, but if it breaks, you do have to understand that, the downside could be fairly quick, and it could be a $10,000 move down over time. So, you want to see the monthly open and this monthly low right here. And I'll get rid of this gold pocket real quick, continuing to hold, because you can see this is where it's trying to put in consolidation and trying to make it so that at this resistance that we've covered before, eventually gets flipped into support and the move continues up, the rally continues. But if it doesn't, then you're probably looking back down to your last monthly high. And then if that level's lost, you kind of go to the averages. And I think the 30 to 34K range starts getting talked about, things like that. So, those are all things that we can talk about when that move occurs and when we're prepared for it, I guess, or not prepared, but when it becomes relevant. Because as of right now, you're still kind of up here. So I would be cautious. This doesn't look great to me. Main reason being is, even though he's saying, consolidation through the summer, I'm looking at things through the lens of left translated cycle potentially. This was a huge number for me coming into this cycle, that 73,244. And it was based on a lot of Fibonacci work from prior cycles. It's actually what led to these highs here, and it just extended to 73. And so I knew this was going to be resistance. It's just I didn't expect it to be the high. But timing wise, it's exactly 50% the length in time of our last cycle. So everything occurred twice as fast, just like right here. Instead of consolidating down here at the 40s for the halving, we blew through it fairly quickly and went to all-time highs, something we'd never done before. So, we have to consider, maybe that's an alternative. I don't know what underlying factor in the market would generate something like that to occur in terms of fundamentals, but it could. And for me, it's realistically, if this area of the chart gets lost right here at we'll call it the 45 to well, actually, you know what? We'll do something we always do. I know I eat up a lot of your guys' time, and I apologize, but it's good for people to kind of work this out, because then they can go to the chart and do this themselves, in my opinion. We're not doing anything special here. We're not using any indicators. We don't really need to. All we need to look at is the high time frames and candles, right? You can get a lot out of these. So the most important highs are going to be things like the yearly highs, right? So we'll leave the quarterly open up there for now. So this is the 23 high, 22 high, and the 21 high. So you've obviously swung failed the 2021 all-time high into resistance that was already outlined. If you were to come back to these levels here and start losing this region of the chart, that's where things really start to look like maybe this cycle is over. You could see on a yearly chart that losing an area like this really doesn't look great. At a minimum, I would expect to probably take the low, which, isn't saying much because it's pretty close at 38.5. Then you can go to things like, where's the yearly average? We know that yearly average is very, very reliable in terms of being hit within the next year. And that is untapped at 34,521. So you realistically below 48K and 44, I start targeting 38.5, but realistically probably looking to 34.5. So that to me is where, when people ask when do you think the bull market could be over? I'm like, if you start living below these levels, this is probably not a good area to be below. Historically, you start looking at maybe this forms a bigger consolidation over time, and we start looking forward to the next, money printer go burr time frame, right? Yeah, not to be doom and gloom, but if it gets back above 64,540, we just pump it. We send it. We get the short squeeze we probably want, at that time. It's just a matter of what are we going to get. I don't have any control over it. I'm just telling you how I would trade it and how I would look at my investments if I was a medium-term investor, trading by cycle, not by 10-year time frame, or retirement. Like you guys were just talking about, retirement accounts have been jumping into Bitcoin, which I think is great. I think people should have exposure to it. I don't think they should put all their money in it, of course, but getting exposure is good for people. It shouldn't just be allocated to early adopters, I guess, is the way I'm putting it. So
that would be the lamest bull market ever if 74K was the top.
It would be. I'm not in that camp yet. Like I said, as long as we're above those levels I outlined, right around 48 to 44, this thing can definitely dip and then rip again. And if it does, you got to think. So even if we dipped down to 40, let's say 45, let's say worst case we get a 45K, right? If price recovers, consolidates healthily, and then starts making new highs again, getting back into position to make a new high, you're probably looking at a traditional Bitcoin cycle that's going to go to Q3 of 2025, a much longer cycle than people think is available to them. They're going to act like it's something new, but that's literally just a 100% repeat of the last cycle, which was a 100% repeat in time of the cycle before that. I'm just proposing that we have some kind of an invalidation for that, where maybe we don't get that. And if we don't, what happens to make us think that we're not getting that anymore? Because a lot of people wanted 100 grand last cycle, and they just fell in love with that until price was probably down in like the 30s or 40s. So, you know, I don't want bag holders. Obviously, they're going to happen, but yeah, I mean, got to have invalidations. Sometimes you got to plan for the doom, even though you don't want it. Like, I'd love to have a larger cycle from here too, because it's more fun in a bull market when people find out that you're short. For like, when I went short in 2022 and I stayed short for people, like some people were like, congrats. And then I had other people that would send me like hateful emails and stuff. I'm like, I can't believe you're shorting Bitcoin. You're not a believer. I'm like, oh man, I'm just here to trade and make money. You know, I'm a very long-term Bitcoin bull. And one of the reasons I do short is because I do hold a lot of Bitcoin. So for me, it's one of those things where I have to hedge. I can't just eat that drawdown every year, at least not as a trader. I mean, I could just eat it, but there's no fun in that. So,
you know, for me personally, Magic, you know, I hold Bitcoin as well. It's a vast majority of my portfolio. I have a bucket of Bitcoin that I just never sell no matter what. And then I got a bucket that I try trading and, you know, selling towards the top and then putting that on the sideline and then kind of growing my position with the same amount I had, just being able to maybe time selling towards the top, buying towards the bottom. I just never understand people that, you know, you mentioned, you know, getting hateful emails. It's like, it's just someone's opinion, man. Like, if you don't agree
I'm just
with
a
it,
guy on the internet.
yeah, if you don't agree with it, great. If you don't want to listen to it, cool. But there's no reason to you know, attack someone for an opinion.
There's some people that lean into it, man. They built their whole brand on it. Look at what is it? Peter Schiff. He's totally the heel of crypto and leans into it. And I bet his exposure to, you know, people in crypto and his businesses get more exposure because of it. Because if people haven't figured out, he's just trolling. Like, there's no way he's serious.
Of course.
He's a smart guy. There's no way he's being serious.
I'm in the same camp, and I'm just like, if the dude stops tweeting and talking about Bitcoin, he'll become irrelevant. Let's just face it. I'm sorry, nothing
he's
against
using
him,
it for engagement.
Ain't nobody like, oh my God, I'm so excited to watch a podcast on gold or follow this guy because he tweets about gold. I'm not saying gold
Boomers
is bad.
are excited about it. They're just not on Twitter.
Exactly, just not on Twitter. Yeah. Guys, I pinned Magic's the link to his Discord. Definitely recommend you go join it. This man is very thorough. He explains everything. We love having him on the show. He's a friend of the channel and a personal friend as well. Magic, thank you so much, brother. We appreciate you. And we look forward to seeing you again. Maybe next week when you come, we'll be over 70K. Who knows? Probably not.
That would be nice. I'm hoping for a pump. That would be the preferred scenario. So appreciate you guys having me, and everybody trade safe.
Trade safe, my man.
Thank
you, brother. Take care. All right. Before we move forward, I do want to give a big thank you to today's channel sponsor, Legacy Network. If you're into bettering yourself, maybe something like time management, and well, you want to couple that with how can I do that plus make money? Legacy is the way to go. They're coming out with an app that's going to allow you to do just that. Recommend you joining their Telegram. Click the link in the description so you can stay up to date on everything happening in the Legacy Academy network and maybe be one of the first to download the app once it goes live. I do want to share this, and then we'll get into GameStop here. So President Biden issues an order blocking a Chinese-backed crypto mining firm from owning land near a Wyoming nuclear base, requiring divestment and equipment removal. And, you know, of course, everyone starts panicking. Like, oh, my God, what's going to happen to the miners? And is Bitcoin going down? And everyone's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. I'm not too worried about this. Are you worried about this? Something like this, Robin? When we talk about the hash power coming out of the U.S., right? Some people are saying, hey, this is just the beginning. Is an all-out attack on Bitcoin miners.
I think it's more about it being a Chinese company and it being near a military base. I think it's more of in my opinion, I think it's not anything to do with crypto as far as this move. Now, the executive branch has come out. They've been pretty hardline stance against crypto lately. We've had an executive, what was it in it? The executive press release. I think it was a press release where they said, "Hey, if there's the crypto bill that gets passed,
well, I'll veto it.
Yeah, we'll veto it." So obviously, the executive branch hasn't leaned very favorably towards crypto. Is this a shot at crypto? I think it's more about China and it being military base nearby.
I also don't blame people who think it is a shot at it because of obviously.
I know
previous.
It makes sense. Yeah, I mean, it was only last week that
it was only 7 days ago.
It was only last week the press release from the executive branch saying, "Hey, we're not passing anything. We're going to veto anything that the House proposes that's positive for crypto regulation." Especially the SEC, like they're doing such a good job, and so we don't want to take any power away from them. That's literally what the executive branch said.
There's a savior.
So, I did want to give a little shout out to the chat. A couple new people here. If you are new, say hello. We'd love to give you a little recognition. We have Lou Papa, Patrick V, Jason, Crypto Kool-Aid, also Jonathan R, Alato, Candle Daddy, James Vivo, and then also we had Biomex in here. He said he loves the setup. So, to all of you, hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto.
All right, let's talk about GameStop and how it relates to crypto. So, this obviously, we talked about it yesterday. Roaring Kitty, the brains behind the operation in 2021, that pretty much brought all of retail together and said, look, we're going to put up a middle finger to the hedge funds and the big Wall Street guys that are shorting stocks. We're going to stick it to them, and they did. That was in 2021, and I'll show you a chart in a little bit here, how that pretty much kicked off the altcoin market. Whether that's 100% because of it, we'll kind of discuss that. But I do want to share this. So former SEC Chair Jay Clayton, of course, if you don't remember, he was the man that brought the Ripple lawsuit right before he left office. He was on CNBC.
I love him for that.
So good. It's like Santa Claus, here, happy Merry Christmas, guys.
My favorite guy.
Yeah. You like how Rocco only interjects when we talk about XRP?
Yeah.
He's
no, Jay Clayton is
how much XRP you got?
Let's,
like
let's say if it goes to a $3, we are.
You're gonna retire?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, okay. Most likely.
Okay, interesting. All right,
good for you, man. You know
good
what?
You, right?
I hope XRP gets $3.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You know what? I think honestly, it's really not. It's at 50 cents. I mean, it's a 6x from where it is now. It's not any big stretch. I know David's a hater here, but
I know it's okay. It's like the Jay Clayton of Las Vegas.
Where my XRP fans at? If you are in the chat and you are a fan of XRP, put a 1 in the chat. If you are negative David and you want XRP to go away, put a 2 in the chat.
So should I put 1 and 2? 1 and 2.
I did not say. When have I ever said I want XRP to go away?
It was your body language, bro. Just like some of my ex-girlfriends where I said nothing wrong. And they're just like, you know what? You said it all in your body language. And how you talk about it. You circle the wagons. And anyways.
Okay.
We know you're anti-XRP. You don't have to hide from it. It's okay. Me and Rocco will stick together.
Don't worry
we'll
give me your hand.
Hold our bags.
Show you the way.
When we get to $3.
I get a 2x, guys.
When we get to $3, look at these ones.
2x is great, man.
Alex O is a 0.5.
Can't hate.
He's half in, half out on.
Why make 100x when you can make 2? Okay, let's talk about GME. So Jay Clayton was on CNBC. I got 2 clips to show you. This is the first one here, kind of outlining what's been happening.
GameStop shares are soaring once again this morning, adding more than 170% just since yesterday morning. Another meme stock soaring along with GameStop is AMC. AMC is up 187% for the week to date, and of course, it's only Tuesday. Joining us right now with more on this is Jay Clayton. He is former SEC chair and a CNBC contributor. And Jay, we've been kicking this around this morning. I got a whole lot of different takes on this. First of all, the short sellers didn't learn their lesson last time around. Second of all, retail investors are back with a vengeance, but you can't really call this investing either. These are massive swings. As a former SEC chair, what do you think when you look at all of this?
Well, it bothers me. It bothers me on many levels.
It bothers me. We're going to sue him. Sorry.
I think your last guest got it right. It's a lot closer to gambling than it is to trading, and it's certainly not investing.
Certainly not investing. Okay. He did go on to elaborate just a little bit. And let's listen.
It's not insider trading. That's clear. And he's trading on his own information. That's why it's not insider trading. But
so he's talking about Keith McGill, also known as Roaring Kitty, right? That's who he's talking about when he's referring to he.
You think real quick? You think Keith, because he's alluding to market manipulation, not insider trading, obviously, but
he mentioned it, but
market manipulation, where hey, let me put a position here, and then
kind of like Nancy Pelosi when sorry, we can't go down that rabbit hole.
Her, man, she is such a savvy. She's a savvy trader.
She should do an online course. I'll sign up for it.
Right before she passes.
And he's trading on his own information. That's why it's not insider trading. But is this something that we should be tolerating in our markets? Whether it's legal or illegal, I don't think so. And that's why I say, why doesn't he?
But what does that mean not to tolerate? So the idea, I would think, is you look at this more in the context of market manipulation, right? And the question is, are you allowed to manipulate the market? People, by the way, publish things all the time, and they say, hey, I like this stock, and they hope that other folks follow them. Is that market manipulation?
Generally not.
Maybe not. So what is the distinction in your mind as somebody who ran this department and who's looking at and cares about the integrity of these markets?
Well, that's why I'm saying, okay, we can discuss what are exactly the facts and circumstances around the publication of this tweet and the like. But in the meantime, if you care about the markets and you care about investing, come on this program.
Right.
Tell people why you did this.
From your lips. God bless you. We hope he does.
The guy literally posted a tweet, a meme of the dude going like this to leaning forward. That's all he did. Did not mention GameStop, did not mention GME, and these guys are losing their shit. It's so funny.
And they halted trading 9 times.
Actually, longer than that.
Was it?
Yeah. So
what's the count out now?
It's over 20 times. Wow. Yeah. Well, in both days.
Yeah, day one. I know. The first trading day was 9 times.
9 or 13. Yeah. So Justin Trump's SEC has argued SEC should halt trading in GameStop. You also had this.
People
so here we
are
go,
making
Robin.
too much money that are not.
Here's your answer, by the way. 34 times in the last 24 hours. Now, I want to note there's a lot of talk about it's, that they're screwing people over, and they very may well be. But I want to note that this is something that is quite common, right? Halting trading. So this is from Investopedia. Trading can be halted in anticipation of a news announcement, to correct an order imbalance as a result of a technical glitch, due to regulatory concerns, or because the price of the security or an index has moved rapidly enough to trigger a halt based on exchange rules, with something called circuit breaker halts. They have the standing rules for market-wide trading halts in instances where dramatic price declines threaten market liquidity. But the one here, which I'm assuming they're attributing to the halting of GameStop and AMC, is the imbalance of the buying and selling. So for stocks priced above $3 and included in the S&P or Russell, as well as certain ETFs, trading is halted for 5 minutes after sudden moves of more than 5% and lasting more than 15 seconds up or down from the average price over the prior 5 minutes. So you have order book imbalance. Obviously, everyone's buying GME. People got to understand is those things get settled on the back end, right? You got to deliver shares. You got to get rid of shares. And so it's pretty common. Now, I'm not saying that something fishy is not happening. Probably is, knowing Wall Street and their friends. But it's not something that's only to GameStop or AMC. This is from Ramp Capital. I know this GameStop stuff is funny, but you have to remember, guys, this is hurting real people who may be forced to sell their summer house in the Hamptons, okay? Stop targeting hedge funds. They matter too. Also, a diversified portfolio of a long-term investment is right for most people. That's what I say. And Reddit says, I will tattoo Wall Street Bets logo on my right butt cheek if we get GameStop to $1,000. Tattoos are fun. Now
that's a mainstream article there, huh? That's Fox
News, Fox
Yeah.
Business.
Fox Business.
Man, nothing like keeping you in the loop of business. Then
maybe they're repackaging their old and stale information in a
fun and sexy way. Maybe they've been watching our show.
That's right.
Interesting.
What's up, Fox? How you doing?
How you doing?
Welcome.
Now, how does it relate to crypto? Okay, so I want to share this headline here. So GameStop's 250% revival boosts meme coins. 2021 glory returns. And I want to share a couple things. So I always talk about front running narratives, right? And let me share
Well, I did also want to share real quick. I do have a live look because not only is the stock going crazy, but a live look at GameStop. There's nobody's there actually. So the price is going up, but nobody's shopping there. So
that's not the point, Robin. That's the point is we're squeezing out the hedge funds. If we take a look at, right, from this article, we take a look at the 2021 boom, right? So when did GameStop fly and had its, got to about $121? This was towards the end of January of 2021. This is the GameStop chart. We take a look at the altcoins, right? So this is crypto minus Bitcoin. We take a look, when did our rally start? When we were at around $313 billion in total market cap for altcoins, right? Excluding Bitcoin. So it's towards the end of January, right? When GameStop topped. And then subsequently, we had a massive rally to the top of around 370% for the entirety of the altcoin market. We had a little dip and then it continued to rally again. But from bottom to top, right? If we measure this move bottom to top, you had a rise of around 500%, from around 300 billion to 1.7 trillion in total market cap. Now we go look back here. Well, we talk about front running narratives. How do we front run? What is one narrative or one thing we can potentially front run? So there's this meme coin, and I kind of shared this in our Discord a while ago. This is something Forrest and I have kind of had some discussions on. Just for full transparency, I have exposure to this project. So we take a look at something like CFA, right? TradFi Bro. This is a meme coin making fun of the TradFi people, right? The Wall Street people, the people that wear the Gillettes with the Patagonia or whatever. And so, my kind of thesis is, if something similar happens, and again, I'm not saying that the GME, people taking profits, they're the sole reason the crypto markets rallied. Did it have something to do with it? Did it have a little part? I believe absolutely yes. You're talking about retail investors, and what pushed the price of crypto up last cycle was retail investors. So we can draw a conclusion and say, hey, potentially some of the profits they made, they rolled it into crypto. It could be even more now, as people maybe get fed up with these halts, maybe say, I made 300-400%, but I can't do anything. This is BS. Where else can I get these kind of gains and not have to worry about halting from the New York Stock Exchange or from the SEC? It is none other than the crypto markets. And you take a look at a meme coin like CFA that, again, is literally making fun of TradFi, the TradFi bros. This is something that could be potentially worth a shot. You have an account that is that is extremely active, right? So they created their account. This was back in March of this year. They already have over 3,100 posts. And so just some of the stuff here. And so the team is active. You take a look at something like Bowden, right? Joe Bowden. This is another meme coin that rallied all the way up to around $700 million market cap. And this is a meme coin making fun of Joe Biden. Can we see the same thing? These people coming in, making fun of the TradFi bros. Potentially, I showed you the GameStop chart. I showed you the Total 3 chart. Let's take a look at the CFA chart. This thing did get all the way up to around a $10 million market cap. Has since spilled off. Volume has dropped down. But I want to kind of compare it to a chart that a lot of people in this community have exposure to, and that is the Trump token chart, right? It came out, had a big rally, another big rally, failed to make a new high, and then just kind of bled off, had a little spurts, and then it was just absolutely rallied. Can we see the same thing? Can we see the same thing? Here you go. It didn't load. Here you go, right? Can we see the same thing from CFA? Potentially, you're talking about a token that has obviously very, very high risk, but very, very high upside, as its market cap is only $1 million. Not going to make a price prediction here or what it could potentially get to, but trying to extrapolate the thinking of the people who are making all this money over here with GameStop and AMC, what we saw last cycle, what we're seeing currently in this cycle, and what can we see if that money starts to flow in? This is one that I got on my radar. Do with that information as you will, but it's pretty interesting. What are your thoughts on that, man?
Well, I think that what we're seeing now is the beginning of a speculative market rally and push. Going into the election where monetary policies are usually eased, rate cuts are dropped. I know Jerome Powell did come out and say that inflation is a little higher than he would want it to be or expected it to be. However, I do think that we're going to, right prior to election, maybe in a couple months, we're going to get in a spot where interest rates get cut, or at least there's going to be pressure from the presidential, from the executive office to say, hey, let's spur on some borrowing, some spending. And then you look at GameStop, look at history. And look at the cycle we're at for Bitcoin and crypto. The writing is there. There's not
That's what
much.
I'm saying, bro.
Okay, I'll put it this way. Do you have any evidence other than an overbought market? Outside of an overbought market, is there any evidence to say that crypto and Bitcoin is going to crash?
No.
There's I can't make an argument for it. Outside of, hey man, you know what? We crossed the all-time high early in the cycle. Maybe it's overbought from the ETF. That's the only thing I can think of. There's no negative narrative I can say that can draw down the price of Bitcoin other than the charts. Everything else, as we mentioned, election, the banks, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, UBS, all have Bitcoin on there.
You have a state pension fund.
A state pension fund. And I mean, here's Michael Saylor. Take a look at this. So you got Michael Saylor, and make this a little larger here. So there are thousands of pension funds in the United States managing over $27 trillion in assets. How much of that's going to, what percentage of that 27 trillion?
50%
is going to be Bitcoin. Stop. Yeah. I mean, 1%.
Even a tenth of a 1%.
Dude, I mean, 10% 2.7 trillion, which is
1% is 270 billion.
Oh,
That's
man.
1%.
Yeah, one. So, this is also just one slice of the pie, man. I mean,
Yeah, that's just the U.S., right?
No.
The largest pension fund in the world is not even in the U.S. It's in Japan, and they already have exposure to Bitcoin. I'm on board with Robin there, unless obviously like a black swan event. People are talking about this whole bird flu thing. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. But if something like that happens, guess what's going to happen? Something similar to the last pandemic: money printing, airdropping people money. People are going to put up the middle finger to the government. GameStop, AMC.
So what do you think? What do you think the election looks like with crypto? Do you think that it's going
crypto
to be...
will be front and center?
Yeah,
maybe not front and center, but it'll definitely be talked about. It'll be talked about on the debate stage. It'll be talked about within the inner circles of the campaigns, whether it's on the left or on the right. It'll be a sticking point. I think we've really shown as an entire space, Maxi's included, that we got a voice now. Like, come at us at your own peril. And I think, and I'm hoping, and I know they're going to happen at the same time, but if Elizabeth Warren loses in Massachusetts and we get a change of president, you guys understand that's maybe not the presidential side of it, but the Elizabeth Warren thing. If John Deaton, a man that literally moved to Massachusetts, his residence in Massachusetts, to go up against a senator that has how many years, Robin? 20 years, 25 years?
No.
That has been consistently voted back in office, that no one has ever thought she would lose. If she loses to a pro-crypto guy who literally just changed his residence months ago to go up against her, That's going to send shockwaves through the entire political landscape. Come at the crypto industry at your own peril because, hey, you can potentially lose your Senate or your House seat.
Well, you know who's saying who else can lose, especially the presidential, is Mark Cuban. And Mark Cuban came out and on Twitter says Biden's anti-crypto stance could cost him the presidency.
This is someone who's historically been left-leaning.
So this here is a bold statement. So he's coming out here and saying, like, dude's gonna lose the election simply because of his crypto stance.
I can dig it.
I mean, and we've been saying it, and we're in the crypto circles here. Obviously, our whole business is built up on crypto, and we're over here. Sometimes I'm like, is it really that big of an issue?
Yeah.
Or am I delusional? Like, I mean, I believe it, but sometimes I zoom out and think about it, and then you have someone, a successful entrepreneur, businessman, and mogul here, Mark Cuban, that's coming out and saying, like, hey, dude's gonna lose the election just off of his crypto stance.
He's not the only one. Yeah, people that have been staunch Biden supporters that are coming out saying the same thing.
Yeah.
I want to talk about inflation. I saw in the chat before we went live, hey, why are the markets bleeding? Well, this is potentially part of the reason why. I believe it's actually a big part of the reason why is people are trying to front run the CPI numbers tomorrow with the PPI numbers. So the producer price index rises in April, marking the largest annual increase since 2023. It rose by 0.5% in April, following a 0.1% decline in March. On an adjusted basis, the PPI for final demand saw a 2.2% increase for the 12 months that ended in April of 2024, marking the largest annual increase since April of last year. Jerome Powell said, "My confidence in inflation moving back down is lower than it was. I am telling you guys, 3% will be the new 2%. It will no longer be 2% baseline inflation. They'll move that number up to 2.5%, 3%. That way they can start cutting rates and printing money." He also said, "I don't think it's likely that the next move would be a rate hike. It's more likely that we'll hold the policy rate where it is." And well, guys, if you're struggling with inflation and toilet paper is expensive, there is one solution, and it is none other than the Roto Wipe.
So my father-in-law bought me this for my birthday, and I'm about to try it. I'm kind of scared, but these people look happy.
So the car wash brush of toilet?
Ditch the Roto Wipe. And there you go. You just attach it to your toilet seat and, well, bye-bye toilet paper. Save money per month. And so tune in to Sincere Crypto for all your life hacks.
Now I know what to give it for your present.
Probably could have used that yesterday, right, Rob? We're not going to get into that. But we are going to get into this. Ripple. Court update. New filing reveals what Ripple wants to hide from the public. These documents, talking about the court filing with Ripple Labs and the SEC, these documents, collectively referred to as the remedies materials, contain sensitive financial data, including audited financial statements, revenue, expenses, and other confidential business information. Public disclosure of this information would be highly detrimental because it would reveal detailed information about Ripple's financial condition, long-term business plans, revenue streams, and expense structures to the marketplace, including competitors, customers, and future business partners and customers. Seresny, this person was the legal counsel for Ripple, Andrew Seresny, argues that these documents contain sensitive financial metrics that are vital to maintaining the company's proprietary strategies and competitive position in the marketplace. Another significant aspect of the request is to protect the details of its financial terms negotiated with third-party business partners. The company, Ripple, asserts that revealing the XRP sale terms could compromise its competitive position and adversely affect its negotiating capabilities in future deals. This is a little odd to me. What are your thoughts here, Robin?
I don't think it's that odd, honestly. They are a.
What are they hiding here? What are they trying to hide? Rocco, just hold on one second, okay?
Okay. Let's pretend Bank of America was in the same position, right? They were getting sued, whatever the reason is. Let's just say they're in court with the SEC. Do you think they want the bank records of their customers or perhaps small businesses that they're lending to? Maybe there's some large companies that they're working with that they're trying to close a deal with. It's a lot of, when you get into the financial data, when you get into the records for companies that handle finance, it's very sensitive, right? I mean, there's a whole thing is there's supposed to be a replacement for the banks, right? Or substitute or an assistant to the bank. Basically, a way of moving money that the banks are doing currently that's a little bit more efficient, right? We don't need to go down the education rabbit hole with blockchain, but this is what XRP is built for. And so they have to have mountains of sensitive financial data, whether it's for users, companies, or potential partnerships, and you want that released out into the public. I mean, I think that, I don't think they're trying to hide anything. I think they're just trying to protect the people that they work with.
I don't know. I think part of it is them trying to protect the price of their token. I don't know. It's just something interesting. Could it be what you said? Yeah. But it's just odd to me. You know, like Ripple wants to be a publicly traded company, but when you're a publicly traded, you mentioned banks, Robin. Almost everything is out there, right? Their books,
not customer data, not
obviously.
Yeah,
like
well,
the judges.
Obviously that's part of what
This
was
isn't.
here.
They're not saying we don't want to release the court's not saying we're going to release the addresses and phone numbers of your customers and the third parties. I don't know.
It's typical courtroom.
I don't know. I feel like they got something to hide here.
Typical courtroom.
They got something to hide. Go ahead, Rocco. What do you got to say? I know you're boiling over there.
No, I'm not boiling. Actually, I like that you bring this stuff up so people more understand XRP, how that works. If you were an XRP with a project like they do to, change completely the market with their blockchain, and a lawsuit that stopped them for 4 years and led JP Morgan to catch up in the market, all this stuff, you have a contract with other company, you don't want to reveal your it's your business. You don't want to give away your information. I think there's nothing secret. It's just if you have a company, you don't want to give away your stuff. Yeah. That's just a
I did go over what you said. You mentioned the lawsuit has held them back.
Yes.
And held them back, and not only held them back, but allowed other competitors to kind of do that. And I did go over the video I did, sell your XRP for which one?
Cardano.
For Cardano. That was one of the cases I made, and that's to no fault of Ripple. If I'm
here's
being 100% serious.
The SEC and this lawsuit, because prior to that lawsuit, they had Western Union basically had a handshake deal with.
I think, was it MoneyGram or was it both?
I'm not sure, but I know Western Union. So Western Union had a handshake deal. Basically, the news articles are out, headlines, XRP partnering with Western Union. And then all of a sudden, the lawsuit came in. The deal went away, and then after that, a couple years later, Stellar Lumens, XLM, well, they did a deal with Western Union, and so that just shows you that, you know what, if the competitors are there to take your business away from you. And so if in these documents it says in there's potential partnerships and companies that they're working to make deals with, if all of a sudden you see per the court documents that are made public, XRP or Ripple Labs is talking to, let's just say, UBS, right? And they have a pilot program and they're trying out the XRP Ripple Net, or maybe it's something to do with stable coins. Either way, what do you think XLM is going to do when they see that? They're like, you know what? Hey, prior to the court case, they were working with UBS. That deal more than likely has fallen through. Let's create that connection. So I think that from a business standpoint, you absolutely have to keep these things under wraps, especially because there's competition. And if all of it's out there front and center, well, they're going to go out there and try to take your customers, right? Take those deals.
My beef with XRP is not what they're doing, what they're looking to do. I think it's very important. It strictly comes from the perspective of holding the token as an investment. That is where my whole dissent comes from. Not with what they're doing, not with what Ripple has gone through. I think it's unfair that they got sued. Shout out to them for fighting the SEC and winning the most important part, which was the sale of the XRP token in the secondary market was not a securities contract. The rest, everything going on now is mainly for disgorgement, the fees they want to pay. The SEC wants to lambaste them with a multi-billion-dollar fine. Get the hell out of here. I do want to talk about one more thing, and that is Tornado Cash. So the developer just got 5 years in prison, Robin. A Dutch court has sentenced Alexei Pertsev, developer involved in Tornado Cash, to 64 months in prison. He was convicted of laundering $1.2 billion in crypto through the Tornado Mixer. It's not something he did. He did not launder money. It's the protocol he had a hand in creating. Some people use it to launder money, and the man is in jail.
What is next? They're going to arrest the founder of eBay because someone sold counterfeit Nikes on there?
Read that.
It's kind of cut off there. I can't read it. Yeah, man.
Blacksmith sentenced to 48 months in jail. His knife was used to stab someone. This follows the incarceration of an automobile manufacturer as one of his cars was used for a bank heist. It makes no sense. The dude didn't do anything wrong. He created a protocol that, yes, some people use for bad, some people use for good. Why the hell is he going to sit in a jail cell for 5 years? It's complete BS. Guess what that's going to do? That's going to make people think twice about innovating here in the United States and across, and abroad as well. And could that stifle innovation? Could we maybe not see a protocol or an item or a thing that could revolutionize people's everyday lives, financial systems, anything in the world, because people are afraid that if I create something and someone decides to exploit it, I could be held liable. Complete BS. And shout out to Alex Gladstein for tweeting this out, making those comparisons. So it's not fair. It's like Ross Ulbricht, right? Is rotting in jail for Silk Road. People decided to exploit it. He's over here rotting in jail for pretty much the rest of his life. Anyways, that'll do it for the show today. We hope you guys enjoy the content. Make sure to like the video. And if you're not subscribed to Sin City Crypto, subscribe to the channel. That's all I got.
All right, well. To all of you, thank you for joining. A lot of fun today. Bitcoin, maybe 70,000. I heard you throw that out there earlier with Magic.
Probably not.
Yeah, I'm still stuck on that number. We're gonna get there.
Yeah, like you're stuck on. Never mind. With that being said, Rocco.
Great move.
What kind of tornado was that?
Patented. Not patented yet. Thank you so much for watching, guys. We hope you enjoy the content. Make sure to come back tomorrow, same place, same time. We got a special in-studio guest tomorrow. Come join us. We love you guys. Peace.
It was a Tornado Cash finger tornado.
The tornado.
Lock your ass up.
Cash tornado.
Big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I spit the game, but they gave it. Name the coin, it's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy the dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming, hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.